Eat Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Boise State football wide receiver Ben Ford. I've had to face some setbacks on the field this past season, but toughness isn't about staying down. It's about getting back up. I am proud to represent Lithia Ford of Boise, where you can find the largest selection of Ford trucks that are built tough and, like me, handle the hits and keep pushing forward. Come check out the incredible inventory and competitive pricing at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're not just getting a truck, you're supporting Boise State athletics and Lithia Ford NIL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
The final buzzer is sounded on another night of Mountain West basketball, and it's time to break down the action with Tom Moser on another night in the Mountain West, presented by Circus Sports. Headed to Las Vegas for the Mountain West tournament in March? Make sure to stay at Circa Las Vegas and watch all the action at Stadium Swim, where the sports are on 365 days a year. Another night in the Mountain West has interviews, analysis, opinions after the final Mountain West basketball game of the day wraps up. All BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out our full inventory of vehicles online at lithiafordboise.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Did your team just get a big win? Suffer a bad loss? Come discuss it with us. Send us a comment or question in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/BNN. Now let's go to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join Tom Moser for another night in the Mountain West on Bronco Nation News.
What's up, everybody? You are here in the Sun Cruiser Studio. Another night in the Mountain West, Saturday, February 21st. No games last night. More than made up for it tonight with a 6-pack. Let's face it, the afternoon games weren't much to pay attention to, and I actually didn't. But the night card more than made up for that. And a lot to talk about. Let's thank Sun Cruiser first. Got the handy old one right here. And I'll ask, as I always do, for you to subscribe if you have not done so already, down there at the bottom, at Mountain West BNN. There it is. So I'm your host, Tom Moser. What I'm going to do is I will wait on the game that just went final, because I'm sure that Nevada fans that were in attendance would like to get in front of the screen here live. So, and I've heard from some last time they had a home game that was last, and they came on late and missed it and all that stuff. So I'll wait and do that when I get second. Certainly a great game. So lots to talk about with that one. But again, plenty to talk about all throughout the night. But I will say, Ewok, I heard it too. The shout out there, another night in the Mountain West at the end. And it's funny, that's at least, and maybe it's the same guy, I don't even know, that said it last time, but I recorded it last time that he said it. It was during a Colorado State game because I had it on my phone, and I remember Jorgensen in the clip, and I have to see who it was against, but I think it was an FS1 game, and this was too. So it may be the same announcer. I don't know that he's watching the show, but like we said, it's just another night, and he was just specifically referring to the game he did, but I mean the whole night card here it would apply to, right? And so let's big picture view here, not a super night for the conference in terms of NCAA bids at large style, right? New Mexico did rally and save their bacon, but the Aztecs and the Aggies both go down. They also play on Wednesday, so one of them is going to go down again there. And, if neither one of them wins a conference, if whoever wins the conference tournament, if it's one of them, they don't care because they're in. They don't care about anybody else. But whoever loses there, it's another loss. So, our chances of a 3-bid Mountain West at this point are probably like 1% to 2%, maybe 3% at most. And it's trending, or it's not trending towards 1 because there's always the avenue of somebody knocking off Utah State. But I'll tell you what, if the Aggies lose, look, it's not a bad loss tonight, right? It's going to go down as a quad 1 loss. If they lose on Wednesday, that's going to be a quad 1 loss too. But you wait and see what happens to their seed projection now for all these online bracketologists, especially if they lose on Wednesday. It's going to put them in a really tight spot here where they don't want to be, which is in the 8-9 game. I talked about that the other night. But at this point now, after losing a game like this, you'll just be happy to get in, I guess, which is a shame because they've only lost 4 games all season, but not the strongest non-con. And we know the opportunities for the quad 1 wins in this conference just aren't there the way they were a few years ago. And, like I've said, I've been on the record many times as saying this, I would like us to get multiple teams in, but I'm not going to shed a tear over it. I'm going to enjoy the tournament the way I have for 30 plus years before I was all in on the Mountain West. And, I'll root for the 1 or 2 teams that we have in, and it's usually like 1 game anyway, sometimes a second game, but I'm going to enjoy the rest of the games, and it is what it is. Not that I don't care about the NCAA tournament games when our teams get in, but I love the conference action, right? The teams going against each other that are like institutions or like programs, mostly anyway. And that's the stuff that I like watching. Of course, I want to see them succeed in the NCAA tournament, but I think I just get more frustrated and let down by and large over the last handful of years. But topic for another day. Let's get to the games. And as I said, I'll hit that Utah State Nevada game after I backtrack a little bit because I want to give Nevada fans who I'm sure are rightfully excited tonight, give them a few minutes to pile in here and not miss anything. So Wyoming, let's start with this one. Another stunner. We had, I guess, 3 upsets today, very close to a 4th upset. And so we'll talk about one here that, that doesn't necessarily have massive postseason implications. For seeding it did in the conference tournament, because with the results here, had these 2 games flipped the other way, had Nevada lost and Grand Canyon won, that would have put the Lopes in a really, really good spot for the 4 seed and the Wolfpack in a really ugly spot to try and capture that first round bye. So as it is, the results are flipped. They're now tied, and Nevada has a tiebreaker. They don't have to play again. So if they finish tied, Nevada will get that bye. And Grand Canyon will have to play 4 games in 4 days to get in. So, I mean, look, very disappointing effort here by the Lopes. Now, credit to Wyoming, 100%. Credit to Wyoming for sure. Let me put the stats up here for a minute. So this game was concurrent with the New Mexico-Fresno game, and I watched that one on the bigger screen and the Wyoming Grand Canyon game on the smaller screen. So, that one got secondary attention for me, even though it was closer for the first 25 minutes. Once the Lobos fell behind like they did, I felt like I needed to kind of focus on that to see what the heck was going on. But, whenever I'm would look over to the Wyoming Grand Canyon game at a timeout or a dead ball or whatever it was. Like Wyoming just dictated the pace of the game, the tempo. It just seemed like they had the Lopes on their back heels the entire night. So like disappointing. You follow up a huge win in Viejas. Now, we'll talk about the Aztecs in a minute, but even if that win is slightly devalued based on how they play today and what they seem to be trending towards, and that's a non-postseason team, it's still a good win in Viejas. I mean, let's not kid ourselves here. That's a very good win, and you have to play well to win there. It doesn't matter what year it is or anything like that. So for you to follow that up with a home loss to Wyoming, and it's funny. I talked about this the other night. I talked about this on a show or a pod or several places over the last few days. This team before today was 10-5 in the conference, and they were 3-0 against the top two teams. Now, arguably, San Diego State is now like 2A and 2B with New Mexico. So, they're not clearly top two. But before tonight, San Diego State and Utah State, the Lopes were 3-0 against those two teams, yet they were 10-5. So they were 7-5 against the rest of the conference. I mean, how on earth does that happen? I don't, and now that's another loss. So, I mean, I get it. Like the teams in the middle to the bottom middle in that like 6 through 10 range are better largely than they've been like last year. I wouldn't say 2 years ago because we got 6 teams 2 years ago. So obviously our 6th team was tournament worthy, but mostly the teams that are in the 6th slot are not in this conference or any non-power 4. And so our teams in the 6 through 10 spot aren't tournament quality teams, but they're not easy to beat either. And that was evidence again tonight because Wyoming looked really good. Grand Canyon did not. Let me throw these up here on the screen for a minute. Let me really dig into them and see. I will say that it's a shot-making game, right? Both teams shoot 40% actually, which is kind of ironic. But 7 for 20 for the Lopes from 3, 8 for 30 from Wyoming. I mean, that's wild. 30 of their 60 shots were threes. I do think there's something too, as much as I hate to say it, because it's not a purist's way of playing offense and watching a game or having a system for your offense. But we know long shots produce long rebounds. And we saw it with Wyoming here. We saw it maybe with Nevada a little bit. You fire up from deep and you got a pretty good chance, if you crash a little bit, of tapping it out, grabbing an offensive rebound, having it carry them out deep and the other teams out of it. So, maybe there's a method to the madness here for some of these teams that just fire and fire and fire, because it's a lot easier to get offensive rebounds on long threes than it is when you miss in the paint, the way that Utah State did, for example, in the first 5 minutes of the game tonight, right? So a rebounding edge for Wyoming, credit there. The Lopes turned over 15 times. Wyoming only turns it over 10. So the bench points 34-2. 34-2. And that's with several guys still out for Sundance and his crew. So that really speaks to a poor effort by Grand Canyon. Good job by Wyoming, but poor by Grand Canyon. Now, I know the stats will say that Williams had 29. I call it like an A-Rod 29, okay? A-Rod was always good for hitting like a home run in the bottom of the 7th when the Yanks were down like 5-1, right? Now, I mean, did he hit some in his career that mattered and were important? Of course he did. He hit 600 some, whatever it was, right? But he was very good at hitting meaningless home runs, okay? Williams had 29 tonight, 7 boards, and only 1 turnover in 34 minutes. I'm not saying he played poorly, right? He took 19 shots. He probably leads the nation in shots per game for a point guard. But when I saw it, I saw Henley keeping them in the game here. Now, he only finished with 15 on 6 of 14 shooting. But again, Wyoming's defense was very good. As poor as Grand Canyon's offense was, Wyoming's defense was good, and nobody else really showed up. They got 2 bench points. Stromer, 26 minutes, and he had a bagel. He had as many points as all of you watching. Okay, he did have 4 rebounds, but 26 minutes, 4 shots, no points. Breidenbach 15 minutes. He scored their only 2 bench points. They miss Caleb Shaw, and they just don't have enough players without them. Now, still shouldn't be an excuse to lose at home. You're a 10-point favorite in the game. So, I mean, Walker, 13, Meyer, 11. Sadi had one of his better games because he made a few shots. He 15 minutes off the bench, he scored 13 points and had 4 boards. So good game for Sadi. He made 3 threes, and that was, those were clutch. Those were clutch. Bennett 9 and 8 boards. So good job. But I mean, listen, they just never let Grand Canyon get on a run. Every time the Lobos made a bucket or two, Wyoming answered, or they'd get a rebound or make a play. And they just, let me get these off the screen. I always forget to take those off the screen. And I'm hidden. Maybe I want to be hidden. I don't want you guys to see me too much. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, it's disappointing. Now, I mean, listen, that's the stuff you worry about. I've said often, like it's tough to keep the focus night in and night out when you're off the at-large grid. Okay. It might sound weird and odd, but the teams that do that are few and far between. Okay, that really kind of grind it out in the dog days, right? These aren't the dog days of summer, but they're the dog days of the college basketball season here. Fans, some players, it's almost, what do you hear? It's almost March. It's almost March. It's almost March. Everybody's just waiting for this tournament or that tournament or the postseason, right? But you got to get through all these games first. And when you're eliminated, and I'm not saying you're not playing for anything, but like your top goals are like off the board, okay? It's tough to grind out all those games. It just is. And so you come off that huge win, in Viejas, and it just, it's some teams have the makeup to do it and some don't. And, I've said all along their defense travels, but you got to make shots sometimes. And they only got up to 65 because they made a few shots late when it was just turned into a rat race to try and stretch the game out. I mean, they were lucky. They were in the 50s for it should have been in the 50s, but just not a good effort. Crowds there, crowds behind them. It's just tough. And you have to credit the opponent because Wyoming had a good game plan. They wanted to slow it down, defend, make other guys beat them, and nobody else could beat them on Grand Canyon. So, good job by Sundance. Probably, I mean, he'll take the win over CSU in the Border War first edition at the end of January. But on paper, certainly the best win for Sundance, probably in his 2 years, I guess. I mean, this is a top 60-ish net team, and so on the road, nonetheless. So very good win here for Sundance as they're jockeying for position too, right? And you know what else? I mentioned the other day, I started talking about like postseason teams and where we're going to slot teams and stuff. And, we mentioned San Diego State and their likelihood of passing on any non-NCAA tournament bid, right? I think that's becoming more clear as the days go by. They still hope to get into Big Dance. If they don't, I think they're going to shut it down, right? We'll see what happens with Nevada. I think Grand Canyon will go somewhere. I know Wyoming would love to get in something, even if it's just like the CBI, right? Which, people kind of make fun of, and it's not a prestigious one, but it's postseason basketball, and it'll be the first time Wyoming would get there since I think it was 22 with Ike, when Ike was a freshman, in the first of his 8 years of eligibility, and they lost in that first 4 game to Indiana. And so I would think they would accept a bid into something like the CBI if they can't get in to the Crown. I think it would be a stretch for them to leapfrog several teams and get into the NIT. But I think this would help them too. And they don't exactly have like the most difficult closing stretch here. They do go to Boise on Tuesday. Won't be easy to win up there. Broncos showed well today, and I think they have Nevada. Not sure where that one is, but I think the other two then are against like the bottom couple teams. So like they could win a couple more games, and maybe they in the 8-9 or 7-10, maybe they can grab that win too, have a pretty decent record to where they can get into a postseason tournament. I think that'll be good for Sundance in the program. So we'll see. Okay, let me do the other 8 o'clock game for me before I hit on the night game, as I let some other Pac fans trickle in here. And that is the game in Fresno. And so I missed the first 2 minutes because the game ran late that was on before it. I guess it was the San Diego State game, or yeah, it was. So it ran late, and it was 9-0 before I was following the play-by-play, and Olin used a timeout at 9-0. And so, look, the other team makes a couple shots. It's fine. You have a turnover in there, a missed shot is what it is. But after that, it got worse, right? Like when you whack a timeout like that early on to kind of say to your guys, all right, now, they're ready to play. We're kind of not. So now it's time to start playing. And when that doesn't really work, and then it gets to like 21-5, like it was, and then it got to like 34-16 or something, or I think they got down by 22. And then it's like, okay, it's not our night. So it just, their defense was horrible in the first 15 or 16 minutes. It just wasn't. They're getting beat off the dribble. And now Fresno made a lot of shots. All right. So give Fresno credit for making shots, but they're getting open looks because the Lobos weren't guarding anybody off the dribble. And as a result, look, Collins is very crafty. He's good with the ball. He can find guys when when help needs to come in, kick the ball, rotate it. Guys get open looks, and they're making shots. And so it was pretty poor the first 15 or 16 minutes. But what good teams do is they win the last few minutes of the half. They did that. Going to the half only down 12 should have felt like a win after being down 17-20 for much of like the last 10 minutes. You had the Bouillon technical in there. Like, you can't do that when you're down. I think they were down 16 at the time. You can't do that, like slam the ball. Like, that's something you do in a pickup game. Like, come on. I don't know if they let that stuff slide in Europe. You can't do that. You can't just slam the ball like that. He was playing poorly, so I get it. He was frustrated, but like, channel that somewhere else instead of like handing 2 free points to your opponent, right? That could matter later. It's not like a coach getting a technical, getting on the officials to try and change the momentum. That wasn't going to change anything, right? It was, I mean, I don't want to call it selfish. I mean, in a way it is, but I don't think he meant it that way. But that stuff doesn't help your team, right? You're already playing poorly. You don't need that on top of it. But look, credit the Lobos for responding in the last handful of minutes. They could have been down a boatload more. And if you're down like 18, it's such a big difference from 12. And so that was clutch. I'm sure they felt good about themselves going into the locker room. What do I always say? The games are 40 minutes, right? You got to make adjustments. Olin's been good at that. Not to say that Wahlberg, did anything wrong, but the intensity dropped a little bit for Fresno, and the Lobos picked it up, and they made plays in the second half. Let me get those stats up there quickly. See what we can decipher from here. Try not to leave them up there for too long if I remember, but I get caught up. Both teams shot 52%, very similar numbers from the floor. They both made 7 threes. The Bulldogs took a few more. Not too many free throws attempted. It's what we like to see. Only 9 turnovers for the Lobos. Very good. Rebounding pretty even. Point paints massive for both teams, 48-46. Wow, I like that. That's old school hoops. 15-6 on the bench for the Lobos. And let's talk individuals. All right, let's look at the individuals. I thought Alberry had, if not his best, certainly one of his best games in conference play for the Lobos. He had 21, 7 of 10, 8 rebounds for a point guard. I mean, that's pretty darn good. 7 of 9 from the foul line. Hopped with 10, Chol with 8. I mean, that seems to be Chol's standard line. 3 for 9 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3, 8 points. Bouillon really struggled, 2 for 9 from the floor, 7 boards, so you'll take that. 4 turnovers. Look, he is not Kevin McHale when he posts up with his back to the basket, okay? Some of you are probably too young for Kevin McHale, and since nobody really plays in the post anymore, I don't know who else to use as a reference. So maybe when I get to the chat in a minute, maybe you guys can kind of help me out with current day players who are good in the post with their back to the basket with their moves, like Akeem Olajuwon or Kevin McHale were. He's not great in that mode. Where he is good, where you could see, is when he can catch and face up like he did in the second half, rip through, take one dribble, and attack the rim and dunk it, okay? He's good when he gets a little space and he can kind of go around and by his defender. He's got a nice combination of like a quick burst, some quick athleticism and power, but when he's defended, walled up by a bigger or equal defender, he struggles to finish with his post moves. And 2 for 9 kind of really showcases that. But Hall was massive. He had 20, 8 of 12 shooting, only 3 threes. So credit Wahlberg and Fresno for running him off the line. He only took 3 threes. He made 2 of them, but 8 of 12 from the floor, 4 rebounds, only 1 turnover. He played 36 minutes, and he made the exact same shot. And I thought it was coming too from the moment he had the ball ISO'd on that high wing and the clock was running at 30 seconds. I thought to myself, and I should have had the phone out to record it, but frankly, there was a lot more congestion over on that side of the floor. If you remember against Grand Canyon, it was almost like cleared out, and he had all that room. Here, I don't remember who it was. There was a teammate there. There were defenders there, and he didn't have much room at all. But man, give the dude credit. A freshman in that spot, 1-point lead, got to make the shot, and he did twice now in 2 weeks. That's a shot you don't see guys take a lot anymore, right? It's a deep 2, like the analytics say, not a good shot, tough shot on top of it, but I don't care about analytics. You guys know that. But listen, massive credit to him. Huge. Rock was big off the bench too. Only 11 minutes, but 8 points, hit a couple threes that were big when they were trying to mount their comeback. So, I mean, listen, great job by the Lobos. That's really kind of I don't want to call it a season-saving win, but as the announcer said probably 42 times, they're on the bubble, and their first, whatever the heck, first 4, last whatever, they couldn't afford to lose that game. We all know that, right? And now with the other results in the conference today, they find themselves only 1 game back and not out of the woods for the conference, even though, again, it's probably still going to require them to win in Logan. But maybe, who knows, right? Like, I don't think that's a 0 chance proposition. Okay. Clearly it can happen, as we've seen today. But I mean, that was a huge, huge result for the Lobos. Forget about the postseason stuff now. Just to get a nice win like that after trailing the way you did. I didn't think this would be a runaway, okay? I know we think that Olin is above, letdowns and all that stuff, but look, Fresno's a good team, and the first game you can't count because Collins didn't play. When Collins plays, they're a much, much better. I've said he's probably the most valuable player in the conference in terms of what he means to his team. Take anybody off of their respective teams, he's probably the most important player. I don't want to say most valuable, but most important player to his team. He didn't play the first game, played tonight, and everything just runs smoother with him out there. Hydrator back mattered. I mean, he had 22. He made some shots. And Gory's a really nice player. I hate to say it, but you have to imagine that Gory will not, I hate to say it, but, I don't know that we'll see Gory in Fresno next year. 21, 9 of 15, 8 rebounds, true freshman against a good team here. I mean, yikes. He'll have some suitors and some NIL bags being thrown his way that, frankly, Fresno can't match. And it's funny, I was about to say we won't see him in the Mountain West next year. We wouldn't anyway because Fresno won't be there, but I don't see him in Fresno anyway. I just can't see it happening. People I can identify talent when they see it. That young man as a freshman, he can certainly play. Okay, let me hit the comments here for a minute, and then I will get to the Utah State-Nevada game. Steve Alford, Alford gets his team a nice win. Best win of the season for Nevada. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, a horrible day for the Mountain West. Lobos make history. What was the history they made? I don't know what history it was. Was it their biggest comeback? Yeah, they definitely spotted Fresno. I mean, they took the first handful of minutes. It was that the largest deficit that they've ever overcome. Wow. Jake likes Camper, thinks he's headed for the Big 12. We'll see. I mean, the dude can play. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, Alonzo, the Aztecs bubble is popped. See, here's the funny. Well, I'll save that for when I talk about that game. Win out, take a couple in the conference tournament. Yeah, crazy comeback by the Lobos. Booth, oh yeah, big time. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Mile high dunk of the year, big time dunk there for Booth when he went down and flushed on somebody. Non-chalk day, Dan, you got that right. It was a dog day. Yeah, that was an odd time out there from Calhoun. I didn't like it. I mean, hindsight's 2020, and King got the basket, so it's easy to say that now. But look, they also drew a foul after it, and Templin missed the 1-and-1. So I mean, you got to make your free throws. Templin missed 1 out of 2 before it, and he missed the front end. So Larry's not a fan of Templin. Officials don't know what to do with him. He's a difficult guy to officiate. There's no doubt he's a difficult guy to officiate. If he's on your team, you love him. Right now, he missed the free throws tonight, but you can't blame him for that. Timothy, the bottom half had a day today. That's for sure. We were just missing Tim Miles and San Jose, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Aztecs I don't even know if inconsistent is the word. Well, offensively, yeah. Overall, inconsistent. Offensively, I think they're just bad. And yeah, Bird is just, poor. Right? He ended up in double figures. Jordan, good question. I probably answered it. I think one more, and then they're probably sweating now. One more, and they're really going to be feeling it, because then it's like you probably have to make the conference championship game. Can Nevada run the table, Mike? I'm going to say, you know what? They might be able to, actually. They might be able to. If their toughest game is home New Mexico and at UNLV, maybe they can. Let me see who their other 2 games are then. I know it's Wyoming is one of them. I don't know where that is. So hold on. I'm going to do this on the fly here. Nevada at UNLV, at Wyoming. Won't be easy. And then they are home Air Force and home New Mexico. They certainly could. I mean, winning those 2 road games back to back will not be easy for them at UNLV and at Wyoming, right? Are they better than those 2 teams? They are, but that doesn't mean anything. It's college basketball. These are 1-game affairs, right? We've seen it for how long, especially today. Doesn't mean anything. Odds are they will not. Odds are they will go 3-1, but they could go 4-0. They could go 4-0. Yeah, Spencer, their bubble is popped, and I will talk about that in a minute about them, because I know if they lose Wednesday, yes, it will be popped if they lose Wednesday. I know most people think it's popped already. I do not, and I'll tell you why. Tate, you got to rebound better. I'll put the stats up in a minute when I talk about the game, but you got to rebound better, okay? If they win out, make the final and win, is the 6th still possible? Probably not. I mean, again, this is only a quad 1 loss. They win out, make it to the final. Winning out and winning the final would mean winning 7 in a row to finish. So if they're 22-4, they'd be 29-4. I guess. I don't know. I mean, look, here's the problem, and I always say this, right? Colton thinks the Aggies are going to spiral. I don't know. We'll see. I think they're playing good basketball. Definitely gave Lobos needed that to stay alive. Yeah, they got it. They earned it. They got it. I don't. Here's the problem. These other teams, it's fine, because that's the way it is, right? We can't do anything about it. But these teams just get quad 1 opportunities twice a week, just about. So whether it's Kentucky or Purdue, whoever it is, any of these teams that are in the 4, 5, 6, 7 range, where 3 out of every 4 games they play are quad 1 opportunities. Okay. And if you're a good team, you're going to win 2 of them. And that's in 2 weeks. That's more than the Aggies have all year. And so I just don't see him getting a 6. I think at this point, after the loss tonight, you should hope for a 7. You should probably sell donate some blood to get a 7. Trade some blood donation for a 7, because you don't want to be in the 8-9. Worse yet, you don't want to drop another one and be sweating it out like Boise a couple years ago, where they should have been comfortably in, and then they ended up in Dayton in a play-in game. So don't want that. Don't want an 8-9. You should want to win out and just take a 7. And if the other teams in that 6 range lose out and you can slide up somehow, great. But I don't think it can happen anymore. I don't know why their defense has dropped off. The first half defense was horrible. Why has it dropped off? I don't really know. It's possible that the coaches in this league are good, right? And there's little subtleties that they catch on film, and sometimes they just look to exploit matchups. Coaches attack it differently. They want to run some sets to force your opponent to switch, and then you get a mismatch. Sometimes you just feel like guy A or guy B doesn't guard well on the ball. Sometimes you see on film that guy C doesn't help well. Sometimes you see that other things, okay? Also, and I'm not big into analytics, it's possible, and I don't know if this is accurate or not. I should probably check it out. Maybe it was just a case of certain teams like shooting poorly against the Lobos for a couple weeks beforehand, right? And then the last 3 weeks, it's gone the other way, starting with that San Jose State game a couple weeks ago, right? Teams have been hot against them a little bit, okay? But part of that is you're not guarding the ball well. You're not guarding the ball well because it all starts there. If you don't guard the ball well, your whole defense breaks down and you're in scramble mode because you got to help, you got to rotate, you got to recover. You're off balance, you're off center, makes it difficult to rebound, and it just sets everything in motion. So you got to get better guarding the ball. You got to be better on the ball. Okay. Let's see. Nevada hosts New Mexico Tuesday. Yes, they do. The tournament will be straight cinema sky, 100%. A lot of teams fighting for their lives in there. Fun one. Yep. Stromer, massively disappointing. I mean, look, I guess that's kind of why he didn't stick at Gonzaga. Like, if you can play, and Few's not going to tell you to hit the road. So they don't have any bench. They need Shaw, okay? Anybody can win a tournament. There's no doubt. Could we see a three-way tie for first before next weekend? Well, that would require New Mexico to win in Reno and San Diego State to beat Utah State. Yeah, it's certainly possible, Nicholas. Absolutely, it's possible, okay? Actually, it's probably going to be the favored outcome, those two games. After the results today, I would anticipate Nevada being favored over New Mexico and the Aztecs favored over the Aggies. Doesn't mean much. We saw plenty of upsets today, so who knows, okay? Yeah, Larry, we've said that plenty of times. The Aztecs are too cool for school. Loser mentality I mean, look, they're not connected and they're not bought in. Okay. And, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So I will talk about them in a little bit. Yeah. As a Lobo fan, we need to defend much better if we're going to be in the mix. There's no doubt. Delaware is all right. We're about to get a foot of snow tomorrow for the second time in a month. We haven't had a bad snowstorm in years, in a few years, and now we're going to get a foot of snow tomorrow. I used to live in Newark. Very cool. That's where I am, kind of. Yeah. So we're going to get buried with snow tomorrow. So I'm not thrilled about it. I broke my shovel last time I had to shovel, and so I taped it with duct tape and a hot glue gun. We'll see how that holds up in the freezing cold. But anyway, Bouillon struggled to control his frustration, 2 for 9. Yeah, and they were all layups. So I mean, it's difficult. It's not as easy as it looks or as you want it to be to finish in traffic, but you still shouldn't go 2 for 9. I agree with that. Okay. Yeah, no one plays with. I didn't think so, Spencer. That's why I couldn't think of anybody outside of McHale and Olajuwon, because nobody plays with their back to the basket anymore. And I don't watch the NBA, so I don't know. But I just assume that nobody does. Yes, is McHale here? Okay. Yeah, it's funny. I did call you Jello, and then I realized you were Gel Lobo. So appreciate you joining in. Crazy day in the conference for sure. Yeah. I agree with that. Help their title hopes, hurt their at-large hopes. Definitely. Lobos hung tough, found a way. Defense must get back to what it is. Absolutely. You know what else? We know what else hurt the Lobos today, ironically, is your boy Donovan Dent, because he went buzzer to buzzer. He went coast to coast. When I was a young buck, maybe some of you in the chat remember this, mid-90s, UCLA was the 1 seed. They were playing Missouri. Missouri was either the 8 or the 9. It was a second round. It was a 1-8 or 1-9 game on a Sunday afternoon, and Missouri was up 1, and Tyus Edney took the ball, very similar to what Dent did today, and went coast to coast and laid it in at the buzzer to beat Missouri, and then UCLA went on to win a national title that year. Now, Lobo fans saw this from Dent a couple years ago when he did it like 3 times. He did it against New Mexico State. He did it against Colorado State. He did it against somebody else, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe one of you guys can help me out. But he did it like 3 times in 6 weeks And you probably wish he didn't do it tonight because that one really would have crippled UCLA. But now that's a quad 1A win. I mean, not just quad 1. That's like quad 1A. Like Illinois is a top 5 team in the country, and UCLA beats them. So they go from on the bubble to having like one of the better wins in the country all season. I know it was at home, but Illinois is like really good. So like that you love Dent, but that really kind of hurt the Lobos as well, as ironic as it is. Next week is going to be huge for the conference. Aztecs and Aggies play. Lobos play Nevada. Lobos play Aztecs in Albuquerque on Saturday too. I know. I mean, it's a lot of backloaded stuff here, which is good. 6 says Wild Saturday in the conference. Hard to say what the best path for Boise is now in terms of seeding. Yeah, there's no way to know right now at this point, Sick. Like I said, I said the other day, you want to avoid GCU, clearly. You'd probably like to get matched up with with New Mexico. You swept them. You don't want to play Grand Canyon. Beyond that, we'll see, right? You split with Nevada. You didn't play the Aztecs twice yet. You lost twice to the Aggies, and neither were particularly close. But I don't think you would play them. I don't know that you'll drop to the 8-9 game, but you may. And that's assuming Utah State's even the 1. I don't even know if they will be. Looking at the Aztec schedule, could they lose out? I mean, they do play UNLV at home. I think they get that one. But, I mean, they'll win a game or two unless they completely have mailed it in. Yeah, that's true. Fair point, Sick. Like we talk about needing to win games in a conference tournament for your resume. I don't know that matters either. You're right. I guess the only thing it does is like avoid a bad loss. Like if you're Utah State, you can't lose that quarterfinal game then, right? No matter who it's against, even if it's a decent team like Boise or CSU or whoever. You can't lose that game, okay? Awesome night in Lawler. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that now. Fist fight down to the wire. Nevada climbs back into relevancy. Barely fair. Are the Utah State fans blaming the refs? I hate to see that. I mean, that's kind of nonsense. I mean, obviously they called a lot of fouls in the second half, and a few more were on Utah State. But again, you were on the foul line with a chance to tie the game twice, and you missed free throws both times. So I don't. And look, I'll get to it when I talk about the game. DA's experience showed tonight. Yeah, he was tough. He was nails tonight. And Hall has ice in his veins, 100%. Yeah, Albury was a dude tonight for sure. Larry, you don't think they have much of an at-large chance? Yeah, they have to win. They definitely have to win both of those games. There's no doubt about it. I mean, no doubt about it. Okay, you have to win those games. But if they do, I think they have a chance. Yeah, not a ton of dominant big men, says Lonzo. Lonzo can do it all. Okay. Yeah, Dan, as a Boise fan, you hate that you're not in the top discussion as an observer after the end of the season stretch will be fun. I agree with that. I wish, we had more teams in the mix too. Can Nevada steal a bid and win the Mountain West? I mean, I wouldn't have thought so before today. I don't like their offense consistently. I view them like Grand Canyon, and they'll throw a clunker in the way the Lobos did tonight. But, I mean, who's to say, right? They got a guy who can get hot in Camper. If Nevada runs a table, can they get the 3 seed? They definitely can, but they would need help. They would need they can't get the tiebreaker over the Aztecs because they swept them. So what they would need to do is get the tiebreaker over New Mexico, which would mean they would have to beat New Mexico. They'd have to win out, finish with 6 losses, and hope New Mexico loses this one and then to up in Logan, and that would give them 6 losses as well. So it's possible. It's possible. I think after like the midweek, when we get to next weekend, I will start like looking at scenarios when we got about 3 games left. Yeah, it's interesting, Derek, that teams let a guy take it down under 5 seconds. I was having a conversation with a couple people about this on different forums after it was, I don't even remember what game it was, but I'm always in favor, and nobody wants to do this, and maybe there's a reason for it. Maybe it would get beat up, and I would look foolish. But man, you don't have to, but I would throw like a 2-2-1, like 3/4 court press out there, right? And so that way you can pinch the gap and you don't let the guy dribble through you, right? And he has to look up and find a guy. And when and if teams do it, like you don't see teams do zone presses a lot at this level because the guards anymore are too good. They're too big. They're too strong. They're too tall to see over the press. It doesn't work much unless you're a big power team against a small team in non-conference play, right? Very seldom does pressing work over the course of the game. But if you ever see teams throw like zone presses out in the first half, what is the purpose of it? Would you like to get a turnover? 100%. The purpose of it is to bleed clock, kill some clock, make them take time to get across the half court stripe. And then by the time they get set into their offense, the shot clock's almost half over. There's like 17 seconds left, right? Well, if you do that with 5 seconds left, you can't do that. You can't take your time because you got to get a shot off. So if you run a 2-2-1 or a 1-2, whatever you might want to throw at them, and you have multiple guys that can kind of pinch a gap so that Dent can't dribble around somebody, he has to give it up. Then you're forcing like somebody to catch and take a shot that they don't want to take. They're not expecting to take. They're not used to taking. And could it be possibly open? Maybe, but you have three other defenders out there to rotate. They can't make 3 passes, right? It's not like a half court set when everybody rotates. There's not enough time. So that's just me. I'm sure. Look, these guys again. I just throw stuff out here that I think. I'm sure these guys know what they're doing, and maybe they have an answer for it that's better than the one that I just gave you. Yeah, you did see Dent do that regularly. Hurts rooting for USC. Yeah, USC's gone in the tank here, and they lost to Oregon today, who's awful. So USC probably is slipping down. I'll check this stuff out tomorrow. Dent with the deja vu, no doubt about it. Yeah, he's been a whiner lately, but that's how stuff works. He's selling his team out. He's whining. He's crying about everything, and then they come out and win today. UT Arlington, was it, Jazz? Yeah, I forgot about that. Probably for a reason that I forgot they needed that against UT Arlington. Perryman, yeah, it's funny. I don't know why. Well, you know what? I will say this, Michael. Drake Allen was very good today, and I'm going to get to the stats and break that game down in a second. I'm just about done. Was that in Boise, that game? That's funny that happened, Mark. I didn't remember where the game was. I remember that watching the play, but I did not remember that was in Boise. So you want to avoid if you're a Boise fan, Sick wants to avoid Utah State and GCU in the second round. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Dutcher, he better stop playing 10 dudes or find 10 better dudes. Utah State's the only team that could avoid right now that could avoid a bid stealer and still get a bid. Slow down the ball handler. That's the zone press. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Well, I'm not saying UCLA will make it sick, but I really think they would have been almost cooked had they not won that game today. And so that it hurts because it's a quad 1 win. I mean, I don't know what they have left. I haven't looked, but I'm sure they're going to play a few more quad 1 games. All they got to do is win like one more. No, I'll probably have like 5 quad 1 wins. So I'm sure they'll take a team like that. Okay. B thinks today worked out well for the Lobos. Got the dub, and both teams above them lost. At large, still alive, and conference title mix. Yeah, from that perspective, 100%. Okay, let me get to the late one now. I'm going to assume that most Pac fans have filed in that are coming in to watch here live. Let's talk about what happened there. 80-77 was the final. And so here's what I want to say, because I'm not going to talk about the officiating. The game was 71-65 with 6 minutes left. So before that prayer 3 by Falslev with a few seconds left, whatever it was, the Aggies scored 3 points in the last 6 minutes. So that's not going to win you any games. And I highly doubt, okay, I can't remember every possession off the top of my head. I'm not Rain Man, but I highly doubt the officials were up there with brooms sweeping the ball away at the rim and the net when the Aggies were taking jump shots, right? So did they call some fouls? They did, okay? For the game, they called 23 on Utah State, and they called 15 on Nevada. So 8 more, not ideal, not what you want if you're a Utah State fan, okay? You also understand that you're on the road in conference play, okay? I do not eat pineapple on pizza, but I'm a pretty basic eater. I'd eat pepperoni on it, maybe some beef or sausage, not black olives, not pineapple, none of that. I don't need that. Okay. And so, you scored 3 points in the last 6 minutes. Like, come on. So I don't want to hear that. But listen, credit to Nevada, because the announcer or the analyst said early second half, he got the feeling, and I thought maybe too, that the Aggies were going to stretch this one out. Not win by 20, but just kind of stretch it out little by little, win by 8-10. That I would consider that going away and a tough place to play here. But, Alford got his guys to respond. Really poor effort on, I guess it was Tuesday, right? And I wasn't sure how they would respond here, and they did. They responded. Really good first half. I thought their defense was really good all game long. It's just that the Aggies shot the crap out of the ball. They shot, well, both teams did if you look at the numbers there. Utah State shoots 15 for 34 from three. Nevada shoots 10 of 19 from three. That's wild. 53% for Nevada, 44% for Utah State. Now, I question why Utah State's taking 34 of their 62 shots from three. That's too many for me. Now, again, look, I mean, they shot 44% on them. Higher percentage than they shot on two. And maybe it's because they couldn't make a shot in the paint to start the game off. El-Amin missed a few layups. Templin missed, whoever. They missed a bunch of layups in tight. Keller did, okay? Keller got in foul trouble. He only played 4 minutes. Wow, it must have been just to start the first half and start the second half. That's wild. Collins, 9 on 3 for 11, 3 for 8 shooting threes. So he's tailed off, and he didn't supplement it with anything else tonight, really. So that didn't help. Allen was really good, 17, 6 of 13. He took the most shots. He does take a wild shot once in a while, but he hit 5 out of 8 from 3. I mean, you would take that every game and twice on Sunday from Allen. 4 assists, no turnovers in 34 minutes. So, pretty clean game from Drake Allen. Only 10 turnovers as a team for Utah State, 15 for Nevada. Rebounding 40-30. So you want to point to something as an Aggie fan, aside from the officials, point to the rebounding, 40-30. Okay. Offensive rebounds were equal. All right. 40-30 on the board. So second chance points, but they were even, I guess. Bench points advantage to Utah State because Colby King played well, 16 and 6 rebounds. So nice game for Colby King. Templin had 11. He fouled out, 3 boards. Did a lot of his damage from the foul line, which is ironic because he missed the big ones, as I said, down a stretch. Gary Clark, 5 boards, 4 points, 25 minutes. Could have used a little more out of him. El-Amin, 25 minutes, a bagel, 0 for 4. You need a little bit out of him. And so, that's kind of what happens. Camper had 20, 4 boards, made 4 out of 5 from 3. Wow. 5 for 11 from the floor. Price with 10 and 12. I mean, he's just a beast inside. Comer had 12 and 7 assists. Okay. I mean, Comer leaves me wanting more. Like he can make a play here and there. I'm wishing he was a little bit better. Armo trading was okay. 16 minutes, 7 points, 4 boards. And then Lowry had 11. He's been relegated to the bench here. Weems had 9. I think Weems and Lowry are the same guy. I still get them confused, but that's me. Anyway, I had taken those off already. So, Spencer, what are my thoughts on that flagrant? I assume you want you're talking about the trip on Robinson. Yeah, see, I don't know what the distinction is there, right? What the rule says it has to be for a flagrant 2. Like, clearly it was that in the old days before they created all these newfound rules, that's what would be considered an intentional foul, right? Like it was semi-dirty, it was off the ball, it's an intentional foul, right? So I don't think it looked completely horrible. Now, he knew what he was doing. When they showed the replay, he knew what he was doing, right? Like he tangled him up and knew that he was going to go down. But he didn't do the old Grayson Allen or the guy this year from Michigan State, the Fears, like just completely like, and to some of you, there may be no difference, and that's fine. Okay. But he didn't it's not like the guy was running down the floor and it's like some prank you would see on a YouTube video where he like sticks his leg out and all of a sudden he kind of like trips and whatever, right? Like they were tangled up and he didn't release and let the guy go. So, or Falslev, not the guy, it was Falslev. So you don't like to see it. He got tagged for 2 in the ball. I think that was that was enough punishment. I mean, I get, why you want more, but I don't think it should have been more. That's just me. And I don't know why. I think, Derek, the reason is that Drake Allen was very good, and maybe he just doesn't want to play. If you play both of those guys at the same time, who are you taking off the floor? Because you need Falsliv on the floor, and Colby King was on fire today, and you're not going to take a lot of minutes away from Collins. The reason why Perryman gets a lot of minutes sometimes is because Calhoun gets pissed at Drake Allen a lot. Like, sometimes he gets wonky out there, but he was on point today, and so you couldn't take him off the floor. So that's kind of the reason why Perryman didn't get more minutes. Nevada assistant in the postgame mentioned they made adjustments in the second half to slow down Allen since he had the hot hand. Yeah, I mean, look, Noodles and Alford have coached, 5,000 games between them, maybe even more. But yeah, they know they can look at the stat sheet at halftime and see that maybe this guy's not on or this guy's on, and how are we going to slow him down? And yeah, I don't know the split and the breakdown for when Allen did his damage. I thought he played well all night, but they certainly paid more attention to him in the second half, and maybe especially in the last handful of minutes. What's Nevada's new stadium going to do for the program? I think it certainly helps. I mean, it stinks for them that they're going to fall back into the Mountain West, where it's not going to be as well resourced. But I guess from their perspective, they should expect to be one of the top dogs in a conference, 100%, right? Like Chris Murray's talked about that. Obviously, you have Grand Canyon and you have New Mexico. Beyond that, all the other big spenders and serious programs are leaving for the pack. So there's a spot for Nevada to ascend into a prime position in this conference. Now, it may be with a new coach, right? We don't know how long Alford will be around for, but that doesn't matter. You make a good hire. You got good resources. That's what coaches want. Okay. Like, you're not going to get a power 4 coach to come in and take the job, but a good up and coming coach, he wants a well-resourced program against his peers. So within the conference, right? It doesn't have to be a matchup with resources of a Big 12 program, because you're not playing those programs. You're playing other teams in your conference. So are you resourced as well as the other teams in your conference? And in a couple years, when that resort, casino, arena, or whatever it's called is built, they will be. And so that's enticing to coaching prospects, and it should be for players too. Let's see. What did I skip here? Yeah, I know, Derek. Yeah, I didn't know he made 5 either. I would have thought I would not have guessed that he made 5, but I don't think the stat sheet lies. I mean, he definitely made a couple early. I know that, and 1 late. So I don't know. What are we doing here? Okay, yeah, Ben Simmons. He has shot the ball poorly. I think he missed like 13 in a row at one point. It may have even been more. Yeah, Larry, appreciate that, since I haven't done it in a while, and I can't believe I'm 56 minutes already, and I still didn't even hit on the San Diego State game. And I didn't even want to be on here past, oh, wow. Sun Cruiser. Go get your Sun Cruiser. Go get it. Okay. What else? What else we got in here? Drake went nuclear beginning of the second half, cooled off after the first 7 minutes. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. That's when, it looked like the Aggies were going to stretch it out. But, I mean, listen, credit, you got to give Nevada credit, okay? Because I could have seen them after that really poor effort on Tuesday, buckling when things went south. They played a good first half. And as I said, I kind of cut myself off at the knees here when I mentioned this earlier. I thought their defense was good in the first half. And maybe again, when you see teams shooting that many threes, you have to attribute it oftentimes to the defense. And Utah State shooting that many threes is a result of Nevada playing good defense, as weird as that seems. Okay. And so I thought they played good D. Utah State made a ton of threes early, and that's why I said it was a well-played first half. Now, of course, the officials wanted to get in the way in the second half and blow a lot of whistles and with fouls, and things tightened up a bit where that's concerned. But, like, Nevada's defense was good. You give up, what did they give up for the game? 77. So it's like, that's not super defense. But, I mean, I don't know. I thought they played pretty well. 1.1 points per possession for the Aggies. I mean, they have obviously guys that can score the ball. I thought it was good defense. That's funny. Lonzo wants me to skip the Aztecs. I absolutely cannot do that. I will skip the first game of the day. UNLV 190, 166. So there's my comment on that. Also, we'll mention the fact that Joe Scott was officially relieved yesterday of his duties. That should come as a surprise to zero people in here. And it is, look, it has zero to do with their performance-based. It's not a performance-based decision, results-based decision, right? It has everything to do with the mistreatment of the cadets. Now, maybe this was a way for them to get out of him. What they said makes sense. They needed a new voice. And I think we can all agree with that. They need a new voice. Now, who is that voice? Nobody knows. Who wants to be that voice? Nobody knows. If they can move into the Patriot League, they'd get other takers or offers, but that would require an awful lot of travel. And I don't know if that would work. Probably certainly not for this coming season. So not sure how that's going to work, but didn't work out this run for Joe Scott, which is a shame. He had the Falcons in the NCAA tournament 2 decades ago in the early 2000s. Certainly did not work out here. UNLV up, almost 50 in the second half. Gibbs Lawhorn had 21, but he had 3 fouls in the first half. I think he had like 2 points and 3 fouls at halftime. I didn't watch it. Looked at the box score. How do you have 3 fouls in the first half against Air Force? I mean, come on. But anyway, so that's that. Okay, a couple more. Utah State, as long as they stay in the field, might be better off with his loss if you get a 10. Yeah, I mean, yeah, then you're playing. It's like trying to hit an inside straight in poker, though, Derek. Like you're getting awful like finicky there because you don't want to play that game. You'd rather get in. Perfect world, you get a 7 or a 10, but you just want to get in. Does Alford retire, move on? I've said for 2 years now, McD, that I would not be surprised that anything that happens with Alford. Now his buyout's pretty. What's the word I'm looking for here? It's not small. Okay. I was searching for the perfect word. It's not small. So I don't think they're going to get rid of him. And I don't know that he wants to leave that money on the table. And maybe he sees next year as an easier avenue to the NCAA tournament. I don't know. Especially it would be if Olin moves on, right? I don't know that he will this year. But I don't know. I do know that I don't think he likes the way that the sport is set up right now. Okay. He's an old school guy. He doesn't want to deal with all this nonsense, pros coming from Europe and guys coming from the NBA, and you got to pay these guys NIL. He talked about, in so many words, he talked about that in the offseason this year, talking about last year's batch and how they didn't get along because of NIL. He doesn't want to deal with all that. Guys come, he wanted to go into living rooms and recruit kids to be in his program for 4 years, and it doesn't happen anymore, right? He couldn't keep Davidson, who was a legacy kid at that university. So I think he's over it, but I don't know if his over it is now. So it wouldn't stun me if he leaves, but I think he'll be back next year. So I don't know. Alford's on year 7 of 10. When he was hired, he wanted a long contract to finish his career. Yeah. I mean, can he make it? Can he last for 3 more years in this climate that he doesn't like? I don't know. You'd be surprised if Olin doesn't see an offer he can't refuse. Well, look, that offer, like I said before, could be Cronin heading over to Cincinnati. I've heard a couple people now, reputable college basketball talking heads, make subtle references to that over the last week or so. And I had said it too on one of the shows. Just the way he's acting, it just gives off like vibes of like planting seeds, right? And so we'll see. Yeah, he did. He had Darian Williams. There's no doubt. Yeah, I mean, look, I've heard that. I said that to myself because I think he's a Midwest guy at heart. I know he's getting paid a lot more at UCLA, but Cincy. Well, yeah, Calhoun would definitely be great at Cincy, and that it's likely. Although I will say, Cincinnati's doing Cincinnati things here. They won at Kansas today, probably much to BJ's chagrin. And, that guy, Wes Miller, probably trying to save his job, although I think ultimately they'll get rid of him anyway. But if they do sack him, it looks like anything could happen, but it looks like it would be Calhoun or Cronin. They'd probably reach out to both. I'm sure there's people in that program. I have no connections there or whatever, but that would prefer, some would prefer A, some would prefer B. And so it's all what kind of financial package they can put together for both. because it would take more money to get Cronin because of how much he makes now at UCLA. But for Calhoun, same thing. Like, can they give him enough money to lure him away? As we've heard Calhoun talk about the revenue sharing with the new administration at Utah State, and if he can get this promise and this promise, maybe it's a place that can keep him. I don't know. So we'll see. We'll see. And Olin does seem like a good fit there at UCLA. So we'll see if we'll see. Yeah, he was coveted because he did good whether it was NC Greensboro or wherever he was. It just hasn't worked out. Like, he's like Archie Miller. Archie Miller was highly thought of, no relation, when he took the Indiana job, and he crapped out there too. And now he's kind of crapped out at Rhode Island. So it's not easy, when you get to the highest of highest levels here. Not everybody. It's tough, man. It's tough. It's very tough. All right. So look, to put a wrap on this one. This is college basketball, right? And I would say it's tough to win on the road, if you're Utah State. It's just tough to win good games against good teams. Nevada's a good team. They hadn't gotten over the hump yet, but they did tonight. They played well for 40 minutes. Utah State, they couldn't get a bucket in the last 6 minutes. They probably need to make one more shot in there, and that's it. They couldn't do it. Credit Nevada. And it's a tough one for Utah State, especially when you have to go to Viejas next. Okay, they didn't want to drop this one heading there next because, somebody said they could find themselves in a three-way tie, before they know it, headed into next weekend. So Cronin's buyout is $22 million. Well, fortunately for UCLA, they make $1 billion a year in TV revenue from the Big Ten contract, Big Ten media deal. But that's a heavy buyout. I get it. But I don't know. We'll see. They'll probably try to fire him for cause like Kansas State did with Tang. That's what people like to do these days, look for outs and things. Okay, so let's talk about the San Diego State game. I'm over an hour already. I got to cut this off in like 15 or 20 minutes. So let's 83-74 was the final in Moby. Interesting game here. As the Aztecs are floundering down the stretch, they shoot 38%. They shoot 36% from three. They make a lot of free throws. Both teams shot a lot of free throws because the second half was a foul fest, just like the one here in Lawler was. Low turnovers. Rebounds are even. So, let's look at the individuals quickly. Booth and Butler combined for 47. Probably Booth's best game, one of Butler's best games. Booth was like a machine here. He'd one of the dunks of the year. Just went up and hammered it on somebody. And then he went up and tried to hammer it on somebody else later and missed it. But he shot 8 for 12, 2 for 5. Rex Steiner made 5 threes. Jevin didn't score the ball well today, but he had 7 rebounds and 7 assists in 35 minutes and only 2 turnovers. You'll take that. Jorgensen, 8 boards. So a lot of production from a lot of guys here up and down the lineup. Booth and Butler combined for 47. You're going to win a lot of games. So credit CSU in this game. They've won 5 in a row now. Okay. It's not going to do much for anything other than their seeding, right, for the conference tournament, unless they want to play in the NIT. Certainly could. Ali, first year coach, would probably love to play in a NIT or the Crown. Okay. They won 5 in a row. They're 5-0 in February. The first 4 were not exactly against like hammers of the conference. This one was. I know it was at home, but it's still a good win against a team that beat you up by 20 a few weeks ago. So they're 5-0. Great win. They're trending better, trying to probably get up to that 6th seed or somewhere else, right? And see if they can make another magical run in the conference tournament. I still do think they need Pasquarelli back, but we'll see that they've looked good in 2 games without him, so you can't dispute that. But for me, this game was more about the Aztecs, right? I don't know. I didn't see if anybody. I know Alonzo. Rex Steiner was cooking. Yes, Steve wants to see Alford end his career at Indiana. Yeah, I don't think they're interested, Steve. Like, they've hired a couple coaches now while Alford's been at Nevada, and they really haven't even come sniffing. Like last year, when they got rid of Woodson and they hired this DeVries guy, like DeVries is a solid coach, right? But he isn't like going to Final Fours or anything. He's good, but I don't think he's great. And they could have easily come sniffing for Alford, but there were a lot of names floated around, and I don't think he was ever near the cut. So I don't know if he wasn't interested. They weren't. Well, they certainly didn't seem to be, okay, unless he said, I'm not coming. And I don't know that that's the case. But anyway, I don't know if they do seedings. Like, it would depend who else would turn down bids, Mike. Like, that thing turned into a fiasco last year. It's kind of like bowl games anymore. Teams don't want to go into that. And so I don't know if who would play in it. Teams that because a lot of the teams that would get the top seeds are teams that get snubbed in their mind for the NCAA tournament, and then they get pissed and they don't want to play, right? So who knows? Who knows what seed Nevada could get? Good win for the Rams. Not feeling great about Boise having to play Moby. Yeah, that last game of the regular season won't be a picnic for the Broncos going down there. Yeah, so Derek, Lonzo, or anybody else, Paul, if anybody else is in here, because I didn't follow up on Twitter about this because I was watching other games. What was the deal with Gwath today? Because he played in the first half, didn't look good, but then he didn't play again. What's going on there? Like, we might as well just bag him right at this point and sit him out. Okay, whether it's mental, physical, whatever it is, it's not working, and it seems to be like a hindrance at this point for the Aztecs, right? Like, is he not? Can he not? And it's like a distraction. So you don't need that. You don't need that. Okay, you got enough issues to figure out and solve if you're Dutch, right? Because I want to know what happened too, Derek. I don't even know if I put this on there, but he's come back from injury, something strange. 5 minutes, yeah. I mean, he had one shift, didn't play well. I didn't notice him limping or anything, but I don't know. Yeah, and well, Davis got benched because I don't think he played well. Yeah, he was pretty poor. I thought he was poor. Sky will not be doing football. I don't have the bandwidth for that. You know, I can talk some football stuff. I can't talk the X and O football stuff that I could, like I do with hoops here. Like, my extent of coaching football is like with a buddy of mine coaching like peewees, like 12-year-olds, like a long time ago, just for fun, a little bit. And, you know, I know stuff, but I don't know the ins and outs of all that stuff. But yeah, the NIL is pretty much dead anyway. Yeah, he just needs to sit. Last 2 games, he looks tired. He looked so good last Saturday against Nevada, and now since then it's been, you know, just completely backwards. What's more shocking, the Aztecs not playing D or Bird with 5 turnovers and fouling out. Yeah, you know, even I don't think it was it Dick Al and Walls today? Maybe it was Dick Al. He actually, like, I was surprised. He actually called Bird out for like the dramatics, like on the court, pretty much saying how he'd like to see him cut that stuff out, you know, like the gesticulations with his hands and the look into the officials all the time and the demonstrative stuff. And like I've said it many times, right? Like, you know, maybe he feeds off of that, but man, I just think it needs to go. Like, I just think it needs to go. I don't know. Yeah, he certainly has not improved in his years of offense. So let me look at his stats here on this one for the Aztecs. I went over to the Rams. Well, you want to know, BJ, he only had 1 turnover, 21 minutes, 1 for 4. Maybe Dutch didn't like his defense. 3 boards, wasn't making much happen. 5 points. Bird 4 of 14. He scored 15 points, but several of them were in garbage time because he wasn't in double figures until late. He did have 9 boards, but he also had 5 and 4 assists, but he had 5 turnovers. Like that, I mean, can't do that. The Rams aren't a turnover forcing machine either. They're not, okay? Odin, you know, I don't want to say I don't want to use a negative term to describe him, but he's not a very productive player. Waters, 16, a quiet 16, because he wasn't super for much of the first 30 minutes either. Heidi, 6 and 5, talked about Gwath. Harrington looked like he had just come back from an injury. He was rusty. He wasn't super today. Newman hit a 3, so that's bonus from him. Compton was okay. DeGorville took like one of the worst shots you'll ever see today. There was plenty of time left. He comes down and takes a 3. Fine. It was quick, but fine. He gets his own offensive rebound and like takes 1 dribble back and takes a 3 again within like 3 seconds. I like audibly said, like, what was that? And I never comment here while I'm watching the games out loud because like nobody's listening to me. So I just like say it to myself. But I like outwardly said, like, what was that? Because it was like he's doing a 3-point contest and he has to get shots up within a time. Like, what was that? I don't know if anybody remembers that play or not. That's like a symbol of what they are. Their offense is completely just disjointed. Yeah, you remember that, Lonzo, right? That was awful. It was ridiculous. Like, the first one's bad enough. Like, you're not a shooter, but fine. You want to take it, go for it. But you hustle down and you get the rebound. Don't dribble it back out and take another three. That you're not in rhythm. You kick it out on offensive rebounds for threes. You don't dribble out and take your own again. Like, what are you doing, dude? But no offense to the Rams and Ram backers, but they're not exactly a stout defensive team. Do I think they've improved slightly over the course of the season? A little bit, okay? But, man, they made the Aztecs offensively made the Rams look like Houston defensively today, okay? Now, yeah, they piled some points on in the second half, but that first half offensively for San Diego State was atrocious. It was as bad as the New Mexico defense in the first half. Like, horrible. So, I don't know. Horrible. Yeah, poor shot selection, Jordan. Rushed. I mean, they're just out of rhythm. They just don't have anything going there. Dutch, yeah, I hate to say it, Derek. He doesn't really seem like he has much of a scheme and whatever. Yeah, he's got the old Jay Wright in him, okay? He'll live with the shots they take, and they kind of have a lot of freedom as long as they bust their butt on defense. And, that kind of is happening, but not consistently and not again. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So really poor. And, here's the thing about it, though, because everybody wants to like stick the nail in their coffin. Here's the thing. Their next 3 games are all quad 1 games, right? Home Utah State, at New Mexico, at Boise. So now this is a massive if after the way we watched them play twice this week, okay? But it is basketball. We've seen things flip on a dime before. But if they win all 3 of those games, that's 3 quad 1 wins in 10 days, 8 days, whatever it would be, okay? You can't tell me that if they win those 3 games in a row, they have 1 quad 1 win right now. That's it, 1, okay? So if they get those 3 in the next week and a half, that would be 4 quad 1 wins. You can't tell me that they'd still be way out with no chance. No, I don't believe that. They'd have to beat UNLV, avoid a bad loss in a conference tournament, and see how the other chips fall as far as other teams around the bubble, okay? But if you get 3 quad 1, we've said it quite often here now, me, BJ, the rest of you, that the opportunities for these big wins in a conference they're not as plentiful as they used to be or as we want them to be. Well, they're going to have 3 in a row. And, 3 weeks ago, it might have been, well, let's just get 2 of them. Well, that's not good enough anymore. You need to get all 3. But, they have the opportunity to. Now, the way they played, I don't think they can do it for sure. Okay. Now, on top of the fact that they're quad 1 wins because the teams are playing are good teams or they're on the road. Like at New Mexico and at Boise are not going to be a picnic. Now they have to play an angry Utah State team who donked this game away in the last 5 minutes. Okay. And they're reeling themselves. They just lost at home to Grand Canyon, and they just lost today, in Fort Collins. So they're not playing well. And I don't know if I have faith in them, turning it around, because it goes back to what I said 3 months ago. They got dudes, but they don't have dogs. And some of the dudes don't even show up to dude out all the time. They don't. And so it's not working. It's not jiving. Alonzo, I hate to have that feeling, right? But I just don't know how you can feel anything else. Yeah, Dutch doesn't exactly have a 45-page binder of plays, does he? Yeah. So I don't know. Really disappointing from them. Okay. Now they did get a big break here with Nevada pulling that game out, because if they can beat the Aggies now on Wednesday, they're tied. And so we'll see what happens. So their potential for a conference title still has hopes. They're going to have to win out, but we'll see. So good job by the Rams, as I said, but not super for the Aztecs. And then quickly on the Boise game, I didn't watch this one. I was doing stuff, but here's the only thing I need to look at for this, as it was a 5-point game at the half. And then you want to know why it turned out the way it did, as you look on here, is because Tim Miles had to do Tim Miles things today. He played, again, 6 guys. Now, Overstreet played 3 minutes. His 7th guy played 3 minutes. He has 4 guys that played 40 minutes. 4 guys played 40 minutes. Garland, Myers, Bell, and Ganga. 4 guys played 40 minutes. Like, how is this happening? How is this a thing? I just don't get it. Good job by Boise. Balance, Fielder, Meadow, Andrews, all in double figures. Spread out, rebounds, assists. They out-rebound the Spartans by 6. They only turn it over 8 times. Take a bunch of threes. They make 38% of them. You'll take that. Spartans make 4 out of 23 from 3. So that's it right there. They need to make shots to beat teams and hang in there. They didn't do it tonight. They also didn't have anybody to play. So that's unfortunate for Miles and his team. But it's just ridiculous. I know. It's absurd. It is. It's insane. It's absurd. I can't believe that it's happening. I really can't. How many years does Dutch have left? I think a couple, I'm going to guess. I think a couple. I really think he wants to see what this new conference is all about, play Gonzaga twice a year, maybe mix it up. He gets out of the altitude that he doesn't like somewhat, right? Somewhat. He still has to go to a couple places, Fort Collins, Logan, but he gets out of Reno. He gets out of Albuquerque. He gets out of Laramie, stuff like that. So I think he has a couple more in him, but who knows? Maybe he's got a little bit of offered in him too, where he just doesn't want to deal with this stuff anymore at this point. I don't really know. So, yeah. But okay. So good job by Boise. Honestly, after how they've looked the last week, blowing that UNLV game, and then kind of not really competing for 40 minutes in Logan, I wasn't sure what you would get out of them today. But I mean, it certainly helps when your opponent has 6 guys. But they played well apparently and showed up. So good for them. Good job by them. Okay. For 30 seconds, I'm just going to list the games on Tuesday. The big game is Wednesday, Utah State and San Diego State. Also Wednesday is UNLV and Grand Canyon. 4 games Tuesday, Wyoming at Boise, San Jose at Air Force in the game we all want to see if the Falcons can get a conference dub. Fresno at Colorado State. And then the big one is New Mexico at Nevada. Big game. So that's 11 Eastern, 9 Mountain, 8 Pacific, CBS Sports. So that'll be a late night for me. Tuesday, after that one, I'll be live to talk about those 4 games. Wednesday is a doubleheader, 9 and 11, same thing. So late night after San Diego State, Utah State goes final. So look, huge game then, implications for Nevada and New Mexico on that game on Tuesday night. The others just playing for seeding. Wyoming, Boise, those teams are near each other in the standings. Wyoming could creep up and improve a slot or 2. Same thing with CSU and Fresno. And the Rams will be out for revenge after they got beat in Fresno a while back. So that's what we got there. All right, let's give Sun Cruiser one more shout. Appreciate them often, always. And subscribe at the bottom there. See it scrolling at Mountain West BNN, at Mountain West BNN. I'm sure most of you, I say it all the time, are already subscribed. If you I'll get to that in a second, Larry. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Free subscription, not a big deal. Just click on it. Today was the day they have an Air Force player on. They had a second half lead. I didn't know they had a second half lead. I know they were down 3 at the half, and then the first thing I looked, they were down 10. So I did not know that they had a lead. But yeah, I do feel bad for Miles. It's terrible. Appreciate you being here, Lonzo, and everybody else that's here too. Thanks, Derek. We got a couple weeks that he's left. So thank all of you for being here. Hour and 22 minutes. All right, 1:53 East Coast, 11:53 Mountain. Big night in the Mountain West. The at-large conversation did not go well tonight, but it's all right. We got games that we're watching. I'm enjoying the games. If we don't get multiple teams in, it's all good, right? We're going to watch our teams in the conference tournament. That'll be a great thing to watch. And the next 2.5 weeks too, okay? Well, I guess 2 weeks now. No, it is 2.5. No, I'm sorry. Geez, I'm out of it. All right, it's 2. Okay. On that note, You got it, Green Day. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody being here. Enjoy the rest of your night and your weekend, and come back Tuesday for another night in the Mountain West. See you then.
Get ready for the time of your life at Circa Resort and Casino, Las Vegas's newest destination for fun, featuring the world's biggest poolside tailgate party with 3 levels of action, 6 pools, and a 143-foot screen. The fun is always on deck with all the games all year long. Stadium Swim, located in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont Street. Book the time of your life today at circalasvegas.com.